Alright guys, we have had so many transfer stories exploding in the Championship over these last 48 hours. We're back for another episode of the Championship Transfer Rumour Roundup, and boy do we have a lot to discuss. As always, want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. What's your take on all of the latest transfer news? If you're not subscribed already, make sure to go ahead and hit that button. But without any further ado, let's jump in. We saw Oxford United signing Tottenham forward Dane Scarlett on a loan deal for the season. Yet to really see much of Scarlett, to be honest with you. He obviously spent the first half of last season on loan with Ipswich, but didn't really get much of a chance during that spell. Only made 12 appearances off the bench and then was ultimately recalled before the January transfer window. He's 20 years old now, so he's looking to kick on in his career. The move to Oxford could be a decent one for him. We saw Bosan Lowell signing for Stoke City, coming over from Celtic, with the fee for this one believed to be in the region of £2 million, so Stoke have spent quite a bit on the 21-year-old defender, coming off the back of a really good loan spell last season with Fleetwood Town, where he managed to get 8 goal contributions last season in League One, scoring 6 goals and getting 2 assists from the back, which was quite impressive. We saw QPR signing Japanese midfielder Koki Saito on a season-long loan deal. The 23-year-old midfielder has spent the last couple of seasons out on loan in the Eredivisie, where he's had a decent eye for goals, scoring 10 goals from midfield over those 2 campaigns. Excited to see more of the 23-year-old this season. And we also saw QPR getting a loan deal over the line for Karamoko Dembele. He's been linked to the Championship all summer, and I'm really excited to see him in a QPR shirt going forward. He obviously lit things up in League One with Blackpool last season. He now joins QPR on a season-long loan deal from Brest. Have said it floated that there is the option for QPR to make that one permanent, which would be a massive added bonus to this sort of deal. I think someone like Dembele really could thrive under a coach like Cifuentes. I think a dynamic forward like that was just the sort of player they were in need of as well. And we saw my team Preston North End completing the signature of Jeppe Ockels, who's coming over from the Eredivisie. Preston splashing a fair bit of cash on this one, being reported that the deal was worth around £1.7 million. Gives Preston a little bit of a different option compared to our other players that we've got in the squad, someone who can stretch things. Having a winger who looks like he has an eye for goal hopefully will be that natural Liam Miller replacement. North End obviously still searching for a new manager after the departure of Ryan Lowe, but please that didn't sidetrack this deal from happening or anything like that. We saw Adam Eder completing his move to Celtic, obviously a popular figure in that Celtic fan base after his loan spell there last season, and I think Norwich have got a decent deal out of this one, to be honest. In the end, the deal being worth up and around £9.5 million. Considering Eder was never someone who had scored regularly in a Norwich City shirt, I think the club have got a decent deal out of that one. A big deal that Sheffield United have got over the line is for Michael Cooper. They've been linked with the Plymouth shot stopper all summer, but this one has since been confirmed. There have been a few hiccups along the way in the Blades trying to sign him. It was originally thought that Plymouth were holding out for a fee of around £6 million, but in the end Sheffield United have managed to strike a deal for a base fee of £2 million, which could then rise to £4 million with add-ons included. Plymouth were in a bit of a tricky situation with this whole Cooper situation because he was in the final year of his contract and wasn't going to sign a new one with them. Obviously the decision they were left with was sell now or risk losing him on a free transfer in the summer. In the end, I think Sheffield United are getting a terrific deal here. We all know how highly the Plymouth fans rate Cooper, and for good reasons. It was a key position that Sheffield United needed to strengthen, and they've got one of the best keepers in the Championship there. Bristol City have boosted their midfield options with the arrival of West Ham midfielder George Earthy on loan. This is the 19-year-old's first loan spell away from West Ham, so will be a good campaign of development for him, you'd have thought. But those are some of the done deals we've seen going through in the Championship over these past few days. Now, without any further ado, let's jump into the rumours. Now, obviously, the biggest news story going around the Championship right now is Georginio Rutter, who is on his way to sign for Brighton. So let's start out with this story. It all has developed quite quickly. The news originally broke last night. I think it was David Ornstein who broke this story. And it's all advanced quite rapidly. Brighton have gone ahead and activated Rutter's £40 million release clause within his Leeds United contract, and providing that everything goes to plan with his medical, he will be signing for the Premier League club. Now, Leeds will flip a small profit on Rutter. They originally signed him for a base fee of around 29 million that could rise to 35 with add-ons. And a fee of 40 million isn't that far away from a championship record in terms of a sale, but what this really does is it weakens Leeds' hand going into these next few matches, and it really leaves them in a position where they desperately need to get some bodies through the door in these final few weeks of the transfer window. Obviously, they've already lost Somerville, haven't replaced him yet. Gray went out earlier in the window, but it feels like they've sort of covered for that position for the time being, with Bogle arriving and obviously Rothwell in midfield as well. But now with this news of Rutter going, it really leaves a gaping hole in that squad, and coming off the back of an awful result and performance against Middlesbrough in the Cup in midweek, you can understand why the mood around Leeds isn't great at this point in time. Now, Rutter at points of last season was quite a frustrating player because he'd be so erratic and wasteful in front of goal, but everything else, it felt like Rutter was the player that was really running the show for Leeds United last season, certainly in terms of chance creation, linking the play, getting Leeds up the pitch, some clever flicks here and there. Not convinced that Leeds will be able to replace him like for like and get a player as talented as Rutter to join them in the Championship right now. So I'd imagine it would likely be a scenario where they're looking to target 2 or 3 players to fill that void that's obviously been left by Somerville and Rutter. But Leeds United fans, I'd love to get your thoughts on this one down below. There's still plenty of speculation surrounding Norwich City winger Johnny Rowe. Leeds United still hold an interest in him, but it's believed that Marseille are still leading the race to go ahead and snatch up the Norwich City winger. Now, last night Marseille did go in with a fresh proposal for Johnny Rowe, which was a loan deal with the obligation to then buy him at the end of the season. It's thought that Rowe wants that move to Marseille and is pushing for it, although there are a few other clubs in the market for him. Obviously, Leeds United still sniffing around, and Monaco, another side who have registered an interest as well. From Norwich's perspective, though, they're of course holding out for as much money as possible. Stoke City winger Miljan Manhof's another player that's reportedly being tracked by Leeds United at this point in time, although Stoke understandably aren't keen to sell, especially at this point of the window, and it would take a huge offer for Leeds to go ahead and land him at this stage, especially considering the winger still has 3 years left in his contract with Stoke at this point in time. I think Norwich fans are already resigned to the fact that Johnny Rowe will be leaving in this window, but to potentially lose Josh Sargent in the same window as well would be an absolute hammer blow. It's now being thought that clubs from both the MLS and the Premier League are eyeing up the USA forward. The interest from MLS does make sense. There are reportedly a couple of clubs who are currently eyeing him up. The link to Bournemouth is one that came out a few days ago. It is worth pointing out that Bournemouth have just splashed £40 million, a club record deal, on a striker from Porto, so looks like they've probably gone in a different direction to Sargent, but nothing would surprise me in these final few weeks of the window. Stoke have had a bid turned down for Wolves midfielder Luke Cundle, who was obviously on loan there last season. It's thought that Stoke's opening bid was in the region of £500,000, whereas Wolves value the midfielder at closer to £4 million, so there's quite a gap in the two sides' valuations there. Whether or not Stoke go in with a second offer, we'll have to wait and see. And Stoke have also had an offer knocked back for Reading playmaker Femi Aziz. They're among a number of Championship clubs who have registered an interest in the Reading star. Earlier in the window, we were discussing Millwall's interest in him. They've also had an offer knocked back for the Reading player, apparently. On top of Millwall and Stoke, there's also Plymouth who have been sniffing around a potential deal here as well. Jay Stansfield has been linked with a move back to the Championship throughout the summer, and Birmingham as well, who he was on loan with last season, have also been linked with a potential permanent transfer for the Fulham striker. However, Marco Silva has had his own say on the situation, claims that Stansfield is very much still a part of Fulham's plans going forward, and going off Marco Silva's latest comments, seems more than likely that he will be staying put at Fulham. Obviously, a lucrative bid could go ahead and change that, but for the time being it does look as if Stansfield is in Fulham's long-term plans. QPR are reportedly among the Championship clubs who are interested in Liverpool fullback Owen Beck, who spent last season on loan with Dundee. While a number of Championship clubs are interested in a potential loan deal, it's thought that Liverpool themselves would prefer a permanent sale. We've seen Hull City agreeing a deal with Wigan Athletic for defender Charlie Hughes. They have been chasing the 20-year-old for quite some time, but this deal does look close to completion now, with it being reported that the overall package will be worth in and around £4 million. Now, I think we all expected Hull to be pretty active in these final few weeks of the window, and they're certainly living up to that hype right now. Hughes comes in as a really highly rated defender from his time in League One, still just 20 years old as well. If he does have a good few years with Hull, the potential sell-on value there is absolutely huge. At the opposite end of the pitch for Hull, Robert Bozanic is a player that the Tigers are working on right now. The Slovakia striker is currently playing his football in Portugal. He scored 8 goals in 15 appearances there last season. Middlesbrough striker Josh Coburn really impressed in midweek as Borough obviously went to Ellen Road and beat them 3-0. Coburn himself getting a goal and assist in that game, but there's plenty of speculation relating to his future right now, with Millwall leading the Championship pack, who are interested in the striker. Going off the evidence of the midweek performance he put in, I think he'd be a really nice option for Millwall. Brentford are thought to be still pushing for a deal for Burnley defender Dara O'Shea, but the clubs are still apart in their valuations of the player, with Burnley said to be holding out for a big fee. O'Shea obviously joined Burnley last summer from West Brom. He did feature in their season opener and got on the score sheet in that game against Luton as well. You can understand why Burnley would want to hold out for a big fee. Cardiff manager Errol Bullock has also confirmed that the club have received a bid for Mark McGuinness. Now, the defender has been a target for Luton Town, who were looking short of defenders on that opening game week. Interested to see what updates we get on that story over these next few days. It feels like the Sammy Smodics rumours have rumbled on all summer. While Ipswich are yet to agree a fee with Blackburn, talks are ongoing over the deal, so it's not dead in the water or anything like that. Smodics, who's obviously had quite the fast start to the season, really good cameo in the first Championship game of the season against Derby, and then scored a brace in midweek in the Cup as well. But as is Blackburn's right, they're not willing to sell him for below what they deem his market value to be. A number of Championship clubs are looking at a potential deal for Burnley winger Manuel Benson. Now, last time Burnley were in the Championship, Benson was absolutely fantastic. Cutting inside from that right-hand side, he scored some cracking goals throughout the season and was a key point of that Vincent Kompany system. Last season in the Premier League, he didn't really get much of a look in. He was linked with a low move away from Burnley in January, but nothing materialised on that front in the end. Right now, it's thought that the likes of Sunderland, Leeds United and Norwich are all interested in a potential deal for the winger, who was an unused substitute in Burnley's season opener against Luton. Former Leeds United captain Liam Cooper is available on a free transfer. He had been linked with a move to Portsmouth, but John Mousinho has since rubbished any of those links, saying he's not a player on the club's radar right now. Andros Townsend did feature in Luton Town's season opener against Burnley, but seems as if he's off to Turkey, with Antalyaspor reportedly closing in on his signature. And it does appear to be the case that Sheffield United have won the race to sign Crystal Palace winger Jezran Raksaki on a season-long loan deal. Really excited to see how he gets on in the Championship. There's obviously been plenty of interest in the Crystal Palace winger this summer. Leeds United sniffing around this one a few days ago, but he was obviously at Sheffield United's game in midweek in the Cup against Wrexham. It's yet to be officially announced, but it's thought that everything is virtually completed with this deal, with a medical already done, so it seems like it's just a matter of time before that loan deal is announced for the season. Sheffield United are thought to be paying a pretty chunky loan fee to go ahead and secure his signature, but in terms of what he could bring to that side as a potential game changer in the Championship, he's definitely one to get excited about. Well, there you have it, guys. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you did go in to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. If you've seen anything else going on around the Championship as well, make sure to drop it in the comments down below. But other than that, thank you very much for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.